Today, we're throwing Midjourney and ChatGPT into the ring. We are going to compare Midjourney and ChatGPT in 3 key categories, which correlate to their most used cases in architecture and interior design: image generation based on a prompt, image editing, and image retexturizing to retain the original image but give it a new style or look. Each of these categories will be assessed by 3 criteria: realism/workflow, accuracy, and usability. Stick around until the end to see which AI is best overall. With no further ado,
let's get ready to rumble!
Category 1, Image Generation. The prompt I will be using for the interior image generation is mid-century modern-style interior living room with bright natural sunlight, sheer flowing curtains, light oak wood flooring, and eclectic mix of floor and table lamps, multiple modern light fixtures, and 2025 trending designer furniture. High-quality and realistic interior design photograph. ChatGPT interior. The overall image quality is solid. Lighting feels natural, and materials on the couch and chair are acceptable, though they could use more texture. The lit lamp is nicely done. The shade shows its structure realistically. Shadows on the fluted furniture are also strong. The lamp cord is oddly short, and since the lamp is standing away from the wall, it ends up stretching across the floor. That's not ideal, but it's understandable if the couch is centered. It even includes a wall outlet, which is a pretty nice touch. The image has a consistent yellow tint, likely due to the lighting and training data. There are 2 hanging lights when usually you'd see only 1. The materials could use better texture, and the color grading is overly warm, but the lighting and structure are headed in the right direction. ChatGPT understood the mid-century modern style and added training elements like the fluted side table and hanging lantern. However, the spatial layout is way off. The credenza is pushed into the corner while the seating floats awkwardly in the middle. This forced the lamp and its cord to land in a strange spot. Sunlight and a material selection were accurate, but the composition isn't believable. A more explicit prompt might help, but realistic interior design photograph should already imply better layout logic. The layout isn't functional or believable. It could maybe serve as a loose mood board or material reference, but I wouldn't show this to a client or a professor. Midjourney interior. The image feels much more realistic. The light around the curtains folds naturally, and there's a slight depth blur that mimics real photography. The coffee cup overlaps a book awkwardly, but the flowers and lighting across them are pretty believable. The back lamp is confusing. It's hard to tell if it's in front or behind the curtain. Material textures are varied and detailed. The stacked curtains look natural, and while the lamp placement isn't typical, it still works visually. It's got great lighting and textures, but held back by some strange object interactions and layout quirks. Midjourney struggled with a mid-century modern styling, but nailed the layout and use of trending furniture. The couches anchor the room nicely, with good natural light and flow. It's a comfortable and believable space. The image hits nearly every part of the prompt, except the core design style. The room is believable and functional. It misses the mid-century modern mark, but it works well as a reference image. Realism. Accuracy. Usability. The winner of the interior image generation category is Midjourney. Midjourney's interiors feel more realistic overall. The lighting behaved like real photography, especially through the curtains, and the textures were more varied and believable. While it didn't fully capture the mid-century modern style, the layout seemed to make more sense, with thoughtful furniture placement and a usable, livable feel. ChatGPT got closer to the requested style, but struggled with spatial logic because placing the furniture in an odd spot and making the layout feel staged or impractical. In terms of usability and realism, Midjourney offered images that felt more refined and presentable, even if they weren't fully accurate to the brief. The prompt I will be using for architecture image generation is exterior photograph of a Zaha Hadid style community center on a bright sunny day. The landscaping is playful, bright flowing flowers, and vegetation. The building has glazing and wood architectural elements. The connection details are inspired by Renzo Piano. High quality and realistic architecture photograph. ChatGPT architecture. The colors are really off. The lawn is too green and oversaturated overall. The human in the center is a little bit messed up, but that's just a common thing in AI models. The column details might be realistic, but they feel underscaled for the overhang. The roof folds in slightly, and it's misaligning with the rest of the structure. The winding track seems like a running path, but it's too tight and it could be pretty dangerous if you're running around there full speed. The sidewalk scale feels a little off, but it's possibly due to the lens ChatGPT chose for the photograph. photograph. Giving it an exact focal length might help with that. The mullions are disorganized and it doesn't seem intentional. The Zaha Hadid influence is there in the organic forms, but the Renzo Piano details feel off. His structures are usually more exaggerated. The landscape is pretty playful with winding paths and what looks like might be a track. It included everything that I asked for, though not in the cleanest way. Hard to say if this is buildable because AI tends to get structural elements mostly right, and with modern facade systems, a lot is pretty possible. This one includes all the expected elements, though the curved mullions on an inward wall feel pretty unlikely. It's decent for inspiration, but lacks creativity and polish. Maybe it's useful for one or two conceptual ideas, but not much more. Midjourney architecture. Midjourney totally nails the look here. The color, saturation, and the sky are spot on. The perspective feels believable, and mullions are mostly correct. The landscaping is lush and well done, though it could use more elevation changes and less repetition. The building's design is more appealing, likely due to the roof lines, scale shifts, and window detailing. There's minor glazing issues on the right side and a slight panel warp. The coolest thing is it includes a concrete bench, which is really nice of AI to consider us for that. The flowing roofline and transition into the ground seem to reference Zaha Hadid, but it's too subtle to really count. Renzo Piano's influence is also missing here. The landscape feels appropriate for a community center, but the image doesn't clearly reflect the design styles mentioned. Elements like the varied glazing, rooflines, and structure are pretty convincing. You can see columns in a second floor through the glass. The silhouette is strong, and while it's not client-ready, it's a great starting point. Realism. Accuracy. Usability. The winner of the architecture image generation category is Midjourney. Midjourney clearly outperformed ChatGPT in architectural realism. It handled perspective, materials, and landscape far more convincingly. It produced images that looked like real photographs. The structure had a clear silhouette, accurate glazing, and a believable mix of scale and detail. While both tools took creative liberties, Midjourney's choices felt more intentional and polished. ChatGPT's version, on the other hand, was oversaturated, structurally questionable in areas, and rendered in a style that didn't match the request for realism. Midjourney's output looked like a solid first-pass concept, and I think it's usable for inspiration and maybe even early client discussion. Category 2, image editing. Midjourney and ChatGPT both have a brush tool for editing, but I won't be using ChatGPT's. The brush size is bugged for me and support hasn't fixed it yet. That said though, text-based edits still should work really well, and this actually shows how good ChatGPT is at understanding clear instructions without needing precise selections. Just know that while both brush tools are useful, Midjourney's editing tools are still much more advanced overall. Let's start with ChatGPT. In the image editing category, it's probably typical that we want to remove something or change something in the scene. Like for this example, this extra hanging light, or if you didn't like this coffee table and you would want to change it. Let's give ChatGPT a prompt to change the coffee table and remove this hanging light. For ChatGPT, I'm going to attach the apartment image and use the following prompt for interior image editing. Remove one of the hanging light fixtures and change the coffee table to a different table. The new coffee table should be a large marble block with a candle on top and books for reading. ChatGPT interior. ChatGPT makes workflow intuitive since you can communicate with it like you would another person. The brush tool also makes it highly selective so you can pinpoint what it is you're wanting to edit. Would be a 5 if it has a smart detection or a negative brush to be more precise. It changed the light fixture instead of removing it, which wasn't the instruction, although this could be more precise with the brush tool. It successfully updated the coffee table while keeping the decor intact. The image lost a lot of what made the original work. The textures were stripped and the light fixtures still feel wrong. While it did change one item correctly, I wouldn't use this version. Better prompting and the brush tool can improve the result. The image that Midjourney created for the interior of the building is already pretty accurate, but let's still put it to the test and see what it can do. Let's edit the image to have the curtains open and tell Midjourney what we want to see outside of the windows. I'm going to highlight or brush over the areas of the window I want the curtains to be open at. The curtains are pulled back, revealing a beautiful view of a country landscape behind the window. Midjourney interior. Midjourney's native editing tools like the brush and layer options are great, especially for targeting specific elements like trees or decor. But without direct conversation, explaining detailed edits can be tricky. Very effective tools, but limited communication. It did a great job replacing the window view with the countryside scene and left the rest of the image untouched, which is critical. That said, it didn't fully use the erase space, which could be limiting. This version is clean enough for a portfolio or client. The added window looks natural and the wood trim boosts its realism. Workflow. Accuracy. Usability. The winner of the interior image editing category is Midjourney. Midjourney outperformed ChatGPT in image editing because the results were more usable and presentation ready. Midjourney executed a cleaner final product. The countryside window replacement looked natural, the rest of the image was left untouched, and the added wood trim improved the realism. In contrast, ChatGPT's version introduced unnecessary changes like altering the couch material and failed to remove the light fixture as requested. Midjourney's balance of control and visual polish gave it the edge. It should be understood that the brush tool wasn't used in ChatGPT, although the fact that they are only 1 point away from tying would suggest that you should experiment with both and see which you enjoy using the most. In the end though, Midjourney has more control over brush size, smart detection, and a negative brush. This alone should give Midjourney more points. For ChatGPT, I'm going to attach the building image and use the following prompts for architecture image editing. Some flowers should be replaced with trees, and there is too much glazing. Change the walls on the right side of the building to be monolithic wood panels with decorative details. ChatGPT architecture. Edits like trees and paneling were added quickly and without disrupting the rest of the image. It's faster than if you were to use Photoshop for this kind of task, even though you lose a little bit of precision. In some cases, it's a real time saver. It followed the instructions precisely, only edited the right side and added trees. That's even when I did not use the brush tool. The tree scale is slightly off and repetitive, but it's well placed. The wood paneling works nicely with the existing facade. Even with most of the edits completed, the image isn't polished enough for client use or a portfolio. It's useful for concept development, but not much more than that. There's a lot of visual errors, like the sidewalk. With Midjourney's new editing tool, we can be a lot more specific than ChatGPT when telling the AI specifically what we want to change in the image. I'm going to slightly lower the brush size and paint over the right side of the building to make it all wood panels with some details. Next, I'm going to add a layer and select a PNG of a tree. I'm going to move this tree to specifically where in the image I want to see it. Now at the top, I'll say architectural photograph. The right side of the building has monolithic wood panels with decorative detailing. Submit edit. Midjourney architecture. The workflow was straightforward. I could quickly select what I wanted to change and still input a prompt to guide the result. It's efficient and easy to use. The tree was placed well but barely blended at the base, and the lighting feels off on the tree. More importantly, it couldn't add wood paneling to the right side of the building as requested. Because it didn't edit the building's right side as requested, I wouldn't show this to a client. Still though, it holds value for early concepts or potential in a portfolio. Workflow. Accuracy. Usability. The winner of the architecture image editing category is a tie. They tied, but for opposite reasons. ChatGPT excelled in accuracy, following the prompt closely by editing the correct side, adding trees, and integrating wood paneling without disrupting the rest of the image. Midjourney stood out in usability. Despite missing the requested paneling, its final image was more polished, cohesive, and visually appealing. The tie came down to ChatGPT doing what was asked but lacking refinement, while Midjourney ignored key instructions but delivered a more usable concept image. ChatGPT could have won by improving the visual quality and fixing small scaling issues, while Midjourney would have taken first if it had followed the prompt more closely and better integrated the tree and lighting. In short, ChatGPT was right but not polished, and Midjourney was polished but not right. Category 3, Image Retexturizing. Midjourney has a built-in image retexturizing tool, whereas with ChatGPT, you must type out what you want to retexturize. Let's start with ChatGPT. For the image retexturizing category, I'm going to give an image of an apartment room that's completely empty and ask it to use its interior design knowledge and fill it out with furniture and decorations that best suit that room. The room should include long flowing curtains, a couch, a media console, a TV on the media console, a hanging ceiling light fixture, an extra chair for seating, a coffee table with books and a candle on it, abstract and fun colored artwork and decor on the walls, a bookshelf filled with books. The room is filled with bright natural sunlight. The curtains are open. Use 2025 trending designer furniture. High quality and realistic interior design photograph. ChatGPT interior. It retexturizes the entire image without heavily altering the architecture or room layout. That makes it easy to test different material palettes or styles. That said, you'll still need to repaint or re-render some of the images to fully refine it. All the requested elements are here and the decor is trending like I asked. But a lot of placements don't make sense, like this bookshelf right in front of the door, as if it's trying to keep out zombies or something. And the media console is shoved all the way against the back wall instead of being centered across from the couch. The chair over here is placed awkwardly too. It's like where somebody would sit to stare at people watching the TV, which I don't think is a thing unless you're into it. The materials and the style are solid, but furniture placement and renders is what really matters. The image is clean and presentable, but only if the furniture were placed better. I do like the style, and I could see this being appealing to clients. It definitely has value as an inspirational tool or mood board. Maybe even the weird chair placement could trigger a creative idea, like realizing chairs don't always have to go in predictable spots. Those kind of mistakes that AI does can get you thinking a little bit differently. The Midjourney retexture tool will change the contents of the input image while trying to preserve the original structure of the image. I'm going to use the image of an empty apartment. Let's go over to Move and Resize under our retexture tool. Click 3:1 to change the aspect ratio, and let's scale up our drawing to fit. Midjourney interior. This is where Midjourney really struggles. The image is just bad, and the workflow to fix it would take way too much time. It was easy to create, but offers no value. Accuracy is just a total mess. Very little from the prompt showed up, and what did appear is off or strangely placed. This is just plainly unusable. There might be a better way to do it, maybe by uploading reference photos of actual rooms during normal prompting, but the Retexturize tool doesn't work for interiors. I also don't think this can even be used for inspiration or presentation. Workflow. Accuracy. Usability. The winner of the interior image retexturizing category is ChatGPT. ChatGPT won the interior retexturizing category with a total score of 7, while Midjourney only scored 3. ChatGPT successfully retexturized the image without distorting the structure and applied materials that matched the prompt. Although the furniture placement was awkward, the image was still usable for early stage inspiration or a mood board. Midjourney, on the other hand, failed to produce a coherent or accurate result. Its output was not only off-prompt, but also unusable for any professional or conceptual purpose. This is an architectural grayscale site plan image that I'm going to be using as a prompt image for the architecture retexture category. For ChatGPT, I'm going to attach the grayscale site plan and use the following prompt. It is a top-down aerial perspective of an architectural and landscape site plan. Give the elements in the image color and stylize it to be colorful and ultra-realistic. It is a bright sunny day. ChatGPT architecture. The result is surprisingly strong, and like before, the workflow is straightforward, just an image and a description. It didn't distort the structure too much and could be useful for quickly testing vegetation, layouts, or materials. It did take some creative liberty with adding architecture, which can be costly if taken literally. Textures were applied to the correct surfaces. That said, it added costly changes like this pool of water and that pavilion in the top right corner. That's great for inspiration, but not for accuracy. The biggest issue is that I asked for a realistic image and it gave me a hand-drawn colored style instead, which completely misses the mark. It's clear and polished enough for early concepting or a design process portfolio, but since it completely missed the realistic part of the prompt, it fails in that regard. Still, I think a builder or designer could understand what's happening, like where vegetation, materials, and features begin and end. I think that makes it a pretty solid conceptualization tool. Now for the architectural site plan using the retexture tool from Midjourney. Edit uploaded image. I'm going to select the site plan, open. and I'm going to use our Retexturize prompt. Midjourney architecture. It retexturized the image well, but it broke the original form more than ChatGPT did. That said, it still works as an inspirational image and could guide development of a site plan. It struggles a bit with elevations, likely due to how it reads the sketch's perspective. However, Midjourney gives you 4 options instead of 1, which is a big plus. Textures are mostly correct, though boundaries get a little messy. It also added expensive elements like this water feature and that gigantic stone plaza around the park. But to be fair, that area was just a blank space on the paper, so Midjourney decided what to do with it. The central building was clearly a floor plan, but Midjourney interpreted it as an enclosed space with an open roof. Still, it made it feel somewhat realistic. The image looks good at a glance, but it's full of issues. I don't think a builder or designer could confidently use this for anything technical. But it still offers strong conceptual inspiration, and the realistic textures help. Workflow. Accuracy. Usability. The winner of the Architecture Image Retexturizing category is Midjourney. It retexturized the image effectively, it applied materials to the correct areas, and it maintained a realistic overall look. Despite interpreting the floor plan as a partially enclosed structure and adding some unprompted elements, the final image was clear, visually coherent, and useful as conceptual inspiration. ChatGPT applied textures accurately and followed the instructions more closely, but the final result lacked realism due to a hand-drawn rendering style, and the inclusion of unrequested features like a pavilion and a pool. Final assessment. Midjourney clearly takes the win in this 3-round head-to-head. ChatGPT did come out on top in interior image retexturizing, and tied with Midjourney in the architecture image editing. That said, there are other factors to consider when choosing your AI platform. Midjourney generates images much faster and delivers 4 options at once, giving you more variety to work with. ChatGPT creates one image and creates it very slowly. Here's a quick breakdown of the subscription plans. If you like the video, please like the video and subscribe down below if you want to see future content just like this. Over there are 2 architecture videos that I think you'll really enjoy. And if you want to support the channel further, check out the Patreon. As a patron, you get a lot of great architecture related benefits, and your name gets featured at the end of the videos.